All right, so we're going to pretend that we're coming in right now off the start to start our day. So what we're going to do, there's some startup activities that we have to pay attention to. So what I typically do is just come here, log into my computer, which Design Space is already up. I open this and I'm pretty much ready to start my day. Now I have to pull out this that I need. I need to cut some stock. That's what I'm doing here. So here, let me close that up and we'll take a look at this. You can see what I'm doing. So taking this stock and then cutting it in half, which is in this case 4 1/4. And then because it'll actually take up to 4 1/2 this mat, but 4 1/4 means that I can use more of it, and it'll take up to 6 1/2. So that's what I'll cut, and I can cut both at the same time. I've got some marks lined up, so usually it's close enough. If you're within a 1/16 of an inch, it's usually fine. So there's 2 pieces, and I have 2 square pieces I can also use later, like for setup. So I'll do the same thing. I have a few more that I have to do, and I don't mind cutting 2 at a time, but one of those things, I haven't tried more than that yet, but that will be an experiment someday too. How many can we cut at one time? I guess I can cut 2 there, and so this sim is great because you can really do a lot with it. Okay, now 4 I struggled with a bit. It did cut, but it was a bit of a struggle. All right, so that's 6 pieces. Do I need more than that? We're okay for right now. That should be enough. So this would be what I need. I expect that I'm going to run 4 pieces on this day. So that's what I've got here. I've got them queued up right there. Let me put my stuff away. And now we can set up to run. So for my DOE, I have a little card that I created, and basically you should be able to see the minus, 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 plus, plus, minus, plus, plus. These are the different treatment combinations that we're going to be running. So in this case here, I've got now the first one. I'm just going to run them in order because it doesn't matter in this case. There aren't going to be any effects because it's a machine, so it doesn't really matter. I don't have to randomize the order. And I'm going to use a fresh piece every time. So the startup activity, turning on the computer, cutting the paper, doing that sort of stuff, that's not done every cycle. That's done at the start of the day. Maybe I do it at lunchtime. So that would get prorated, right? I'd figure out how long all those activities take, maybe doing some PM on the machine. Then I would divide that up, divide it by the number of pieces that I expect to get in a day. So now I'm going to run this on the minus minus, the low level setting. So it's 1 label, 1 letter. So I click on make it. And now what I have to do, I'm waiting for it to connect. And it's prompting me through this. I have to set the material. And the future ones will go a little faster because they're. So now it's telling me to load the pen. And I don't have a great place to put any of this stuff right now, so I've just got this piece, this tool here that prevents it from rolling back. Now it says load into the machine. Oh, and of course I've got this in my hand. I don't know what to do with that yet. So it runs through, it does a setup routine, make sure everything's aligned, and then I have to hit go, and I've forgotten to click go many times. You're just sitting there waiting for something to happen, then you realize you're waiting for you. So it's okay. So it's going through and it's going to start drawing. Now if I follow the prompts, it's saying load the fine blade in the clamp. I do that there. And now I click go. And now it's going to cut. Okay, now it's going to prompt me to unload the mat, which I do. And now I get to weed it. And then I'm going to put this piece away. I can actually still use that for smaller things, so I'm going to hang on to that for the moment. And now I have my label. That's done. This is the letter A. And so that concludes the first run of the one label, one letter. So now I'm going to pull up the next one. I'm going to now pull up the minus plus, which would be one label and 9 letters. So it says cardstock. And so I pull it up. Okay, it's all set up. It's all ready to run. All I have to do is click make it. Now here's a case where I can use a smaller piece, right? Actually, even use the piece that I had before. I'll just turn it upside down and just run it like this. Now that I can see that 3 inches and 1 inch is what it takes, and I've got enough meat there for that, so no problem. So we'll run this one now. Again, we'll go through the prompts. Now I've already got it loaded. Let me put in the 65-pound cardstock. Take that out. Let's put that there. See, there's definitely time that could be saved if I'm doing something on a regular basis from improving the way I place tools and do whatnot. So I have to remember to hit go. And this is the minus plus. So, go. Okay, so it's just finishing up the drawing, and then I'll just switch out the blade. And I'm sitting here, I'm paying attention, so I'm not distracted by anything else. So this is really ideal circumstances. And that's actually what usually happens when you're observing somebody, when you're doing time observation of someone. They're focused on it. Nobody else is going to stop and talk to them about anything. And so it really is ideal circumstances, which means that you'll probably never see those performance levels or times in practice. So there, it's done cutting. Now let me hit unload. And got very close to the edge, but it seems to work just fine. And it really weeds beautifully. It really does. See, and I do some of this so I can avoid touching the mat. Now, if I really were going to finish, what I would have to do is take my finished pieces, match them up with the order, and then put them where somebody can find them again. But this is just an experiment. So let's now open up the plus minus. Oh, I called it the wrong thing. Okay, my mistake. I was confused. I ended up switching the factors. This actually should be the plus minus. I need to rename it just so I can capture it for the future. Save as. See, and I don't do this every time, but you have to account for this sort of stuff. And things that don't occur every cycle are known as prorates. So I'd have to figure out how often I'm doing this through the day and figure out what's sort of typical and improve it if that's my purpose, or at least document it if that's my purpose. So it looks like I'm ready to run. So let's try this now. Now I need a full sheet, so I can't use that partial sheet. Let me click continue. And what's it going to tell me? So I could certainly do that. Let me select my cardstock. Put in my pen. And load the mat. So I just got to check and see if it's aligned, and I have to make sure I hit go. It takes about 10 seconds to process it too, which sometimes people report, sometimes they won't. So this is 8 labels with 1 letter. Imagine if you're trying to serialize things. It might be like that. But I'm trying to see how long it takes to switch over to the pen versus how long it actually takes to write more letters. Same thing with this. So now we load the fine point blade, we click go again, and we wait. See, now if I had another mat, I could probably be looking at the next order and getting that next mat ready and saving some time. We'll have to go back and look at the film and see how much time it is. Likewise, until I figured out how I wanted to handle my pen and my blade, it kept rolling away because the table's not level. So that's why I put this piece here. But if I had a place to like stick my pen, then it would be easy. There, so it's done. So now I just have to cut unload, or click unload. Take this piece off, and it weeds beautifully, right? Now I have to pick that up and put it in the trash, of course. But when you talk about little tricks, the reason why I'm doing this is because you want to keep the product as flat as you can. And you'd rather bend the mat. When I do this, the mat opens up so that I don't have to damage the edges. So there's my 8 A's. And I'll keep those as evidence, just in case I need to examine them later, especially if I have to evaluate quality. So let's now try the plus plus, which is the one that's going to take the longest. And again, I went through these in order because it's a machine operation. It probably doesn't matter. If it were a different circumstance, I might need to do more of that. All right, so just verifying, it says 4.5 by 6.5, which is perfect for me. So now, continue. So it's connecting. Select cardstock. Load pen. I just don't like to load it early. I just like to have the same routine over and over again, so I don't skip a step. There, now it should just load. You know, if I do things when I can, then sometimes I get confused about what I've actually done or not done. So let me click go. See, I almost got confused there. And this is the run that's going to take the longest. So if I have something to do, I'll try and do it now. But really not much I can do. I don't have another mat. I can't prepare another one. I can't pull up the new file. Although, actually, I can run 2 instances of this and be working on a different file down here while that's running. I can do that. That would be an improvement if I were looking to improve things. Likewise, if I had another mat, tools don't seem to be a problem. Now, if we had a bigger machine, we could have the pen and the blade in there all the time, and it wouldn't stop and change. Right, we could do this, but if we were running high volume, we might go with the more expensive machine. So also there's different types of pens that we could use, and I've got these different adapters here like this that you can use for different types of Sharpie pens or some other types. But I'm using Sharpies, and I'm using an adapter to run Cricut pens in the Joy. So, just waiting for it to finish. Baby, you really just need to start signing for me. Honestly, I'm not always around to do this. Or you know what? I wanted your signature. I still don't have it. So why don't we do that? Make sure that you have my signatures. You know where they are. I have your signatures. Because then, you know, I could have just done what I needed to. All right. Load fine point. Oop. Oh, see, got out of sequence there because I got distracted. I made it. It'll be fine, but if it weren't for that lag. So that's actually, some people use that as justification. Well, the lag helps because sometimes you forget. But, well, if you come up with ways not to forget, then you'd be much better off. Okay. One more. Unload the mat. Remove the strip. The mat is actually pretty strong. I'm sort of surprised. This actually is the blue, the light grit mat, but it's pretty good. Okay, so now what we'll do is, let me now, end of day stuff, right? I'm done. Now what do I have to do? I have to put this here. Probably a good idea to check my blade, if not actually wipe it down. Last time I did this, I found some schmutz on it, but it looks okay. So I'll just put that back, close that up, put this away. Let me click done, and in fact I will exit the program as I properly should. And now I'm ready to go. Okay.